Hi guys, and welcome back. In today's video, I got a little bit of a different type of video. It's not instruction, but you should probably watch this before you go out and buy a new $500 or $600 driver. I'm gonna tell you some of the secrets behind club manufacturers, what they're not telling you, and it could save you a lot of money and actually help you to get a better club for you for less expensive. Now, the reason you haven't seen this before is because it's really counterintuitive to most of the people that are gonna be talking to you about golf clubs. You either have marketing, commercials, things like that, and they tell you a lot about golf clubs, but they're trying to sell you their golf clubs. So it's always a super positive spin on whatever they're doing. It's not always 100% of the truth. Or you're at your local shop talking about golf clubs and they also want to sell you golf clubs. I don't sell golf clubs, so I'm going to give you the actual truth on exactly what's happening, no smoke and mirrors, and we're going to get behind what actually makes a good golf club and why I use a used $100 driver that I've had for about 6 years, and it's better than any brand new $1,000 driver on the market for my own personal game. So let's go and talk about in depth what goes on with club manufacturers and how to get the best driver and pick up some good distance. All right, so what if I told you that every single driver on the market right now goes the exact same distance? There's not any drivers that are longer than other ones, and if somebody tells you this driver is 20 or 30 yards longer than the previous year, they're absolutely lying to you. And let me explain what I mean by this. It doesn't mean that you won't have a driver that you hit 20 or 30 yards longer. It just means that in general, they can't make them any hotter, they're gonna be illegal. So to pass the test, they do something called core test, or coefficient of restitution, and that's a big fancy way of saying how hot is the face on the driver. And they clamp the driver to something that holds the head here, and they shoot a golf ball at the driver, and let's say it's going at 100 miles an hour toward the driver head. It's an illegal driver if it bounces off anything higher than 83 miles an hour, or 83% of the return rate. So that's called a 0.83 COR, or coefficient restitution. If it bounces off at 84 miles an hour, driver's illegal and you can't use it. Well, since all the major manufacturers out there, TaylorMade, Titleist, Ping, Cobra, Callaway, any manufacturer you can think of that makes really good quality clubs, they want to do anything they can and spend millions of dollars getting the most distance. Every single driver, when you hit it dead center in the sweet spot, bounces back off at 83 miles an hour. So any driver out there, they're all exactly the same hotness in the face. Doesn't mean that you're not going to find a driver that actually gives you a little bit more distance, and we'll go into that here in a second. But I think it's very important to realize that when someone says, oh, this is the hottest driver out there, there's no truth to it. They're all exactly the same. So now let's talk about when you're actually swinging the club yourself, what is it that's going to allow you to hit one driver much farther than another driver? And if you gave me a driver that didn't fit me at all, it would probably go 30 to 40 yards shorter than the driver that I use. And it comes down to several different factors. Number one is swing speed. So how fast can I swing the driver? And there's several different things that go into this. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. The second thing is launch angle. Do I get the proper launch characteristics? So is my ball launching high with the right amount of spin to carry the most distance? And then number three, how consistent is the club head? When I hit off center, so we talked about 0.83 in the dead center, if I hit a little bit off the heel or toe or something like that, is it gonna still be a pretty hot face? And that's what a lot of the manufacturers are working to do. So first let's talk about swing speed. Whenever you're picking out a driver, this is another misconception that people have, is that they need a really expensive shaft. Expensive means better. When I'm picking out a driver, if I want to swing it as fast as I can, I want a really lightweight shaft, really the lightest weight that I can use and still get the proper ball flight. If I have a 100-gram shaft, that's adding weight to my golf club. I'm not going to be able to swing that as fast as if I had a 30-gram weight shaft. And I'll get to the reason that not everybody uses super lightweight shafts here in the second part of this. But in general, the lighter the weight the club, the faster I can swing it, the more speed I'm going to get. Also, the longer the club, the faster I'm going to be able to swing. So if this club, back in the 90s, the average driver length was about 43 inches. Now the average is 45. You see a lot of 46-inch drivers, and that's in kind of the race to get the longest driver out there. Whereas I'll make a driver longer and longer, I think up to 50 inches or so is legal to use, then I'm going to be able to swing it faster. If you can imagine a helicopter propeller, the inside of that propeller is spinning, fairly fast, but the tip of the propeller is spinning much, much faster. Same thing happens with a golf club. The longer the club, the faster I can swing the club. because it has a longer arm or longer radius. So that helps you to get more speed. The disadvantages of this, when I use a longer club, I get less consistency. You can imagine using a club that's 10 feet long. Well, I'm not going to be able to make solid contact with the ball, and that's happening a small degree whenever you're hitting a driver that's 2 or 3 inches longer. So it's not always going to get you more consistent distance if you use a longer club, but I recommend try one out. Try a little bit of longer driver out and see if it gives you some more distance and if you can control it, if it's going to work for you. A lighter club is going to help you, a lighter shaft specifically, is going to help you to swing the club faster, but it's going to possibly hurt your spin rates, which brings us to the second section, which was launch angle and spin rate. So I want to, if I'm a slow swing speed player, I want to launch the ball somewhere around 16 degrees in that ballpark as the ball's coming off the face of the club, and I want to have around high 2000s of spin. That's going to get the ball up in the air, and it's going to help it to have enough backspin to stay up in the air and to carry. If I'm a high swing speed player, let's say I'm swinging 120 miles an hour, I'm going to launch it a little bit lower and have less spin, because now I have more speed launching the ball off the face, and that's going to get me the maximum carry. So I'm probably talking around 12 to 14 degrees launch, a little bit lower than the slow swing speed players, and a little bit lower spin. Somewhere around 2200 RPMs would be ideal for maximum distance if you're talking about just hitting the ball as far as you can for a long hitter. So with those lighter shafts, a low swing speed player, that's probably going to work out pretty well, because the lighter shaft is going to give you a little bit more spin, because a lighter shaft tends to be a little softer. It'll kick up a little bit more, and that's going to get you that good launch. For a high swing speed player, you may need a little bit of a heavier shaft. That way you can keep the spin down and the launch down. So that's one thing that manufacturers will trick you with a lot. Of, they don't necessarily tell you, but that's kind of inferred that a $500 shaft is going to be better for your game than a $50 shaft, and that's not always the case. You may be surprised to find out that manufacturers, when they make a shaft, your stock shaft, if you went out and bought a replacement, is about $100. They're actually spending $3 to $5 on that golf shaft, so it's actually heavily marked up. Your $300 to $500 golf shaft that you're buying is somewhere in the ballpark of $20 to $60 is what they're paying for it. So a lot of it is marked up. They want to promote those high-end shafts so that they can make a little bit extra money, and you can't blame them for that. But before you go out and buy the random $500 shaft, realize, what is my spin rate and what is my launch doing? Get fit for your driver to see, do I need more spin? Is this $500 shaft that's going to give me less spin right for me? And it may not be. You could buy a $1,000 shaft, there are some out there, and actually lose distance when you're doing this because your launch angle and spin may not be correct. So me personally, I use a Ping I-15 driver. I've had this one for 5 or 6 years. I have a 69 Red Series Pro Force, I think it's the Mamiya Active Core driver shaft, so it fits my game perfectly. It gives me perfect launch, perfect spin. If I hit it solid, it's got the highest COR, it's going to give me the most distance. So I haven't found another driver that works better for me. I probably won't, even though I've been using this driver, or this is probably my second one I've had, because the faces tend to crack after a while, but I've been using it for about 5 years or 6 years whenever it first came out, and that's why I don't rush out to the store to buy a new one every year. You may find that some of the new drivers work really well for you, and one advantage with the newer drivers, the last thing is to have consistency. So the weighting in the head, they're using a lot of new materials to take weight out of different parts of the head and put it in different parts, in other parts, to give you more consistency. So if you hit a little off the toe or the heel, you get closer to that 0.83 that you have on the sweet spot. So that's the one thing that new drivers, newer technology can help you with, is they're redistributing the weight in new ways. They're using different polymers and new materials that they didn't have 10, 15 years ago, and especially with the larger head size, making it a lot more consistent so that you can get more distance. So if you're looking to pick up some distance, before you rush out there and buy the latest, greatest technology, go get fit, figure out what your launch and spin is, and then try out some different drivers, some used drivers even, to see which one works for you. And I'm going to end with one last tip here to save you a lot of money. A good friend of mine, Chris Boycell, I used to work with, had really the best way to test out clubs. He said, go ahead and grab all the clubs that the place has for you to try out. Try out 6, 7, 8 drivers. make 1 or 2 swings with each one of them, and if you don't love it on the first couple swings, it's probably telling you that that club doesn't fit your specs and that you don't want to try to force yourself into being able to play that club. So you may get the $600 driver, make 1 swing, 2 swings, not really feel that good with it. Go ahead and set it to the side, try out some other ones. Every single club that I've had that I've loved, within the first swing, I knew that it was going to fit me. Every expensive driver that I went out there and I bought and I hated and I never really got it to work like I wanted to, I thought it was a cool driver and I bought it and tried to fit my game to it. So make a couple swings, find a driver you love, don't have to spend tons of money, and go out there and bomb the drives. I'll see you guys soon. All right, so if you guys are wanting to pick up some big time yardage, the best way to do that, even if you have the perfectly fit club, there's only so much technology can do. The best way to improve your golf swing is to get some more lag, to ramp up that club head speed, and to get a really consistent swing. That's going to give you more results than any brand new driver could do. You know, a few changes in your golf swing could add up to 30 or 40 yards to your drive, depending on what you're already doing. And I got a great free video that's going to pop up here in a second. It's a lag video. I'm going to play the preview. Click the link in the right hand side of your screen or down below in the description. You'll get to see that entire video for free, plus 5 videos out of our top speed course that's going to walk you through all aspects of the game. Also, remember to subscribe and to click the like button. You'll see our latest, greatest videos. If you click that subscribe, you'll be notified every week when we come out with some new information for you. So good luck to you guys. I'll see y'all soon. Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Clay Ballard, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of the absolute worst drills for creating lag. It's a very common drill that I see, and in this drill what we're going to do is we're going to set the wrist very early to create an angle of lag, and then we're going to try to hold this throughout the swing. It's one of the worst things that you can do to build lag. I'm going to talk about the science behind why this is the case, and I'm also going to give you a great drill to help you improve your lag, all in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. I do it this way versus holding that position. Exact same thing happens when we're building lag in the golf swing. So what we want to do is throughout the swing, I want to have a very low and wide takeaway. So I'm not going to set my wrist early at all. If you look at a lot of the top players, you look at Adam Scott, very wide takeaway, not very much wrist set at all. You look at Rory McIlroy, you look at Tiger Woods. All these players are using a wide takeaway and not getting very much wrist set, so that later in the swing, as we start down, we can increase this wrist set, and we're really only going to max out this angle of lag for a split second in the downswing. Okay, so a 3-step drill here. Now, as we get started with this, I want to remind you that the fulcrum in this golf club for getting a massive amount of lag is right at the end of the golf club. This is where I want my hinge point to be. I want to use the full length of this club to build lag and then release lag.